All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all praise, honor, and glory is to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I also want to say much due honors and respect to all you brothers out there that's also laboring in this work. Continue to push on, in this truth and all diligence, truth, faith, and sincerity, all right? And I just want to get into a quick lesson, which I want to entitle this sitting, Casualties of War, all right? Because what we're involved in is a war, man. All right? It's a very intense war on the spiritual level. And with all wars, you're going to have casualties. And certain brothers who've been in this truth for a certain length of time, all right, they have seen casualties, man. All right? We have heard of casualties, from the apostles, elders, other brothers, when they basically trade war stories, speaking on men who was on the front lines with them and falling in this war. And it's a fearful thing. Why? Because with the Most High, it's not just about talk. All right, the Most High actually teaches you with experience. Matter of fact, let me get that. That's the book of Isaiah, the 9th chapter. All right. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, and verse 6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, all right, the mighty power, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, right? And what I want to focus on in that precept is counselor, man, all right? Because the best way to counsel someone is with experience, is to show them. And they even tell you that in the world that experience is the best teacher. So in this truth, it's way beyond, all right, just trading war stories and telling you about men who have fallen and became casualties in this spiritual war. You're going to actually witness it, and you yourself can become a casualty of war, man, which make this thing very serious, man. It's serious business, all right? And the latest casualty of war, all right, which was a guy that was out on the front lines, he was battling and so on and so forth. And he was made to be a casualty. Why? So you can pretty much not take, or you can pretty much learn from his mistake, not take that route he took, man. That's the purpose of a casualty of war. In this truth, all right, they set up to be a measuring stick, all right, for you, in this battle, all right? He maybe wasn't in full armor, all right? Or he might have had, bad decision making, or whatever the case might be. Us being on this battlefield, we learn from his fall, all right? And you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that example, all right? Matter of fact, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 9, and start at verse 24. It says, Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. Right, and this pretty much lines up with 2nd Ezra, 7th chapter, where it tells you about the city that's set in a dangerous place to fall, where there's a deep water on one side and fire on the other, so small that only one can travel at a time. And that's what Paul basically saying. And one thing about that parable is when you walking on that path, it's so small that, you can't walk side by side. You got to walk behind the next person, all right? And if that next person before you fall, whether it's because he took the wrong step or he swayed to the right or to the left and lost his balance, by you being behind him, you're going to know not to take the step he took. Because when you read that scripture, all right, Matter of fact, let me just get it, and I'm gonna come back to that. All right, this is Second Ezra chapter 7. And start at verse 7. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water. Right. So the point about this parable is set in a dangerous place, this city. All right. And there's going to be a lot of casualties. If you could picture this in your mind, everybody's not going to make it on that path, man. You're going to have guys falling from the right to the left, which makes them what? Casualties, man. And they set up to be an example, all right? So going back to 1 Corinthians 9:24, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain, right? So you're going to have brothers right amongst you, man, in your camp. Brothers that you might have become tight with. You got to have the mind of a soldier, man. You got to be cold-hearted, man, in this truth, man, to a certain extent, understanding that this is a war and there's going to be casualties, man. You can't fall apart, right? Might be a brother you was tight with, the Lord take him out. You know, you got to keep it moving, all right? Verse 25, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, right? Which lets you know that this is a war, man. Paul is not fighting this war, all right? Which Paul is out here again today. Paul, for that matter, everybody that's sincere is not fighting this war as beating the air. They making those punches count, man. When they swing that sword, they make sure they taking out this devil, man. They're not just doing it as beating the air. Which again proves that this is a spiritual war, and in war you're gonna have casualties, right? Verse 27, but I keep under my body and bring it unto subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. Yeah, and that's the example we saw with this guy Yaradan, man. He preached to others. He been preaching. Brother, one of the brothers from the Atlanta camp told me, I think Yaradan was in this war for what, 15 years? 15, 16 years, going all the way back. I think he was even up top teaching. All right. Yet, after all those people he taught, all right, he became a castaway, man, which this should not be alarming or anything you should marvel at. Why? Because in war, you're going to have casualties of war. And you're going to have war stories, man, like the apostles and the brothers from the Atlanta, when they did the live screen and they was telling you, that was nothing different than having a war story, man. They was talking about a guy that was once on the front lines and he got killed, man. He got taken out, all right? And it wasn't an honorable death, all right? It was very dishonorable the way this guy was taken out, all right? No different than a coward abandoning his men or a traitor, all right, in war. Someone could commit espionage or, you know, or treason, should I say. They get put to death, then you're gonna trade war stories about this guy. And he's gonna be an example for you not to follow, all right? Which makes this thing scary. The Lord set it up like that, all right? This is the book of Galatians. Chapter 5 and verse 17, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. Right, this is a war, man. And that guy Yaradan, he lost that war, all right? You see pictures of this guy got countless of Jordans, and it ain't so much about the guy got Jordans, all right, or none to that effect. It's mainly how the guy got it. He you know, defrauded brothers, and overall, he's boasting in it, you know. Hey, we not set up like that. We weren't set up to be on Instagram and Twitter showing off Jordans and clothes and shit like that, right? So that means the flesh, all right, the flesh overcame his spirit. He lost that war. All right, it says, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Verse 18, but if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, and are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envious, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I would also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Right, so it goes back to that path, that narrow path, that city set in a dangerous place, which is all a war. It's a war between the flesh and the spirit. And if you allow your flesh to win, then you're going to become a casualty, all right? This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, starting at verse 11. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, right? And this guy walked out on the battlefield without his helmet or his breastplate of faith or his sword, all right? He walked out on the battlefield. He was loose. He was out on the battlefield just loose, man. All right? And he got taken out. He became a casualty. Verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Yeah, and that comes in the form of things that's promoted here. Those the things, that's the wiles of the devil. All right? You start being tempted by foolish things such as money, all right? You got to remember, we fighting against the flesh on the flesh home turf. That's something I often say, all right? We're not only fighting against the flesh, but this is the flesh home turf. Why? Because here in America, this place is geared to please the flesh. You look up, you got commercials, all right? Damn new 2018 Escalade, or, you know what I mean? Houses and MTV, well, they don't show that shit no more, but you know, like MTV Cribs and such things like that, all right? They got women everywhere. These things are set up to tempt your flesh. So we fighting a serious fight, man. In the spirit, sometimes the spirit lose, but guess what? The spirit got to keep fighting. And mainly, it's the Most High got to deliver you, all right? Verse 14, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, right? And faith, it really goes back to these guys don't believe, man. So they don't be able to quench those fiery darts. You know, this guy Yara Dunn, at the end of the day, this guy couldn't have really believed in his truth, man. Why? Because he showed certain qualities that's not beneficiary in his truth, man. You know, you defrauding brothers and handling brothers like that. And come on, man, that means you don't believe, man. All right? There are certain guys that fell out of this truth to go get a job or get married, live a family life. That means you didn't have faith, man. That's why the scriptures say, above all, taking the shield of faith, all right? Verse 17, and the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. Yeah, that's right. So indeed, this is a battle. This is a war. And again, with any war, you're going to have casualties, man. All right? This is the book of Romans. This is Romans chapter 13. In verse 12, the night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Right? Again, meaning that this thing is about war, man. All right? And what's the things that prove guys that doesn't have on their armor? Well, let's read on. It says, let us walk honestly. You see that this guy apparently wasn't honest. He was defrauding brothers going into brother's account, all right? Brother Zahab, which, you know, that's a good brother, man, all right? Got a chance to go to brother welcome me in his crib. The brother fed me, man, all right? That's a good brother, man. How you gonna take $60,000 or $70,000 from this man, all right? It said, let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying. Yeah, not, you know, wantonness is undisciplined, all right? That's very undisciplined for you to do the things you was doing, my man, all right? And it caused you to become a casualty, which these things sharpening us up is making us, me being in a certain position ahead in my camp, that makes me really consider, you know, and be more on point. Verse 14, but put ye on the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. And that's what happened, man. This guy fulfilled his lustful flesh, all right? That's why the scripture say put on Yahushua, because ultimately it's going to be Yahushua to lead us, you know, to the victory, man. All right? It's not going to be so much of us. All us who make it, it's going to be because Yahushua. All right? Those who make it to that city that's set in that dangerous place, it's going to be all because Yahushua. This is 2 Timothy, verse 4. I start at verse 17. Notwithstanding, the Lord stood with me and strengthened me, that by me the preaching might be fully known, and that all the Gentiles might hear, and I was delivered out of the mouth of the lion. Right, so this is a war, man. Scriptures tell you that the devil walk around like a lion looking to who he could devour. So if the Lord not with you, you're not going to be delivered out of that mouth of the lion. All right, like this guy Yaradan. He was overthrown, all right? Verse 18, and the Lord shall deliver me from every evil work and will preserve me unto his heavenly kingdom, to whom be glory forever and ever. So be it. Oh, amen, all right? So yeah, it's the Lord who's going to preserve us unto his heavenly kingdom, which the Lord is going to keep our feet from slipping, you know, on that path to the kingdom. But the point is, you're going to have certain men that's going to become casualties in this war, in this walk, all right? So yeah, I hope this was an edifying lesson. Most important, I hope it was a warning, all right? Especially to myself and to all the brothers out there, you know, that this thing is real. Anybody could become a casualty in this war, man, because it's a war, all right? So, shalom.